Hi there, friends. Welcome back to the Winter Clay Workshop. My name is Nancy Diaz Alcala, and we are here with Youth Hangouts. LHA has brought us together for this wonderful workshop. And today, what we're going to be doing is painting our snow people. We will be painting our sculpture with acrylic paint. You can find your acrylic paint in the toolkit you picked up from LHA. I'll be talking about preparing your surface by covering it with newspaper. You will need paint, water, brushes, and the paper plate for mixing. We want to keep your paint cups clean. Mix on the plate and put a small amount of paint on the plate rather than mixing directly into each cup. To paint your project, you're going to need a piece of newspaper to cover the surface you are working on, paper towels, your two brushes, a container with water to wash out your brush, your color kit that comes in your kit, and your paper plate. I have my project here ready. Your project should be dry. You can tell that your project is dry by the look of the clay. It should be white in color before you start painting. I will walk you through how to mix your colors using primary colors red, yellow, and blue to create green, orange, and violet or purple. Before we start painting, let's go over a few basics. Your color kit includes primary colors red, yellow, and blue, as well as black and white. When you open these very carefully, as the paint will dry and stain your clothes. This is acrylic paint and should be handled with care. When it dries, it will dry like a plastic coating. I'm going to open up all of my containers before I begin working. Once my containers are open, let's talk about a few basics. My primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, will help me make orange, green, and purple. Let's give it a try. Let's start with red. And I am taking a small amount of my red and placing it on my plate. I have a paper towel here I will use to clean off my red before washing it. Cleaning off the paint on your paintbrush before washing will keep your water clean for longer. Once my brush is dry and washed, I'm going to take yellow into a small dot on my plate, clean my brush, and rinse. Last, I'm going to add blue onto my plate. Now, to establish a few color mixing rules. When I take red, clean my brush, rinse, and add the same amount of yellow, I get orange. Orange is a great color for painting your carrot nose, complementing it with a orange scarf, or anything else you want to paint orange. I'm going to clean and dry my brush before moving on to the next color. Next, I'm going to mix green, and I can mix green by taking blue, cleaning my brush, rinsing it, drying it, and taking the same amount of yellow. When I mix that together, I make green. Next, I'm going to make purple, rinse my brush, dry it clean, and I'm going to make purple by mixing blue and red. There is a color you might be wondering about how to make, and that will be brown. Brown you can make by mixing orange and adding a small amount of blue. When you mix that together, you get brown. So now establishing a few color theory basics as you think about the colors you will use to paint your snow person. When we are painting our snow people, we will be painting from big to small. First, we will be painting the body and the floor white using the big brush. Next, we will make a light gray by mixing white with a small amount of black on the plate to add shadows with our small brush. Third, we will be painting the hat, the scarf, and the arms. And last, we will be painting the eyes, nose, and buttons. To begin painting my snow person, I'm going to start off with white. My snow person is made of snow, so I'm going to take my big brush and I'm going to cover almost entirely everything except the elements that are the buttons, the scarf, the arms, the eyes, the nose. I can also pick up my sculpture very carefully by the bottom. As long as you have scored and slipped, everything will stay in place. So what I want to do next is I'm going to cover everything in white paint. I'm going to set my project aside. In the meantime, I want to talk about how to make shadows. To make shadows, you can add black to any color on your plate. What I want to avoid is mixing colors and contaminating the containers. So what I want to do, like I did before when I did the color mixing demonstration, is I want to take a clean brush and mix on my plate. That will make sure that my colors stay nice and clean for the next time I need to use them. I'm going to rinse my brush and dry. For my shadows, I want to make a gray to go along the edges to make and cast shadows underneath the balls of snow. For that, I'm going to take some white and just a small amount of black. And I'm taking a small amount of black because I can always add more. Take a small amount of black and I'm going to mix that into my white so that I can make a gray. And so if I needed to make this darker, I can add a small amount of black at a time. But I think I did well here by adding just a small amount of black. If I need to make it lighter, I can add a lot more white. So while my white is drying, I can mix my shadow color. So you can see shadows are cast when an object covers the light source. So I can actually come back in here and paint that shadow in, or I can simply add a shadow underneath. So what I want to do next is add shadows in between each ball, also just underneath the buttons, where my scarf is, underneath the arm here, all the way around. So anywhere you think there should be a shadow, you can take a little bit of this gray and add your shadow. Okay, so you can see there's lots of white on some of these elements, and that's totally fine. We're going to be able to cover those up. Come back and blend. I can also blend with a damp brush. I can take a little bit of water on my brush and blend some of those shadows if they're too harsh. Okay, now it's time for my hat. The hat I want to paint black. I'm just taking a little bit of black right from this container here. Let's make a dark gray instead. So for the dark gray, I'm going to just add black onto this light gray I have here. so that my hat isn't entirely black, but it's a dark gray. That way I can add black shadows. Okay, now the tricky part is going to be underneath the hat. I have to flip this over carefully. Let's hope I scored and slipped everything well so nothing falls off. Now on to the arms. Earlier I talked about how to make brown so that I can paint the arms. To make brown, you're going to need orange. So on my plate, I want to make orange. What two colors do I need to make orange? We recall you need red and yellow. You are correct. Taking my yellow, and I will need orange for the nose. So I want to make quite a bit of orange to have some left over for the nose. I have a yellow brush. I'm going to clean it, rinse it, dry it, okay, and I'm going to add the same amount of red. And I can start off with a smaller amount, mix that, and that is a nice orange to make red. If I want it to be darker, I can add more red. This I like. Now that I've made some orange, let's set a glob aside to make brown. I need enough brown to cover my arms. I have orange here and I have blue over here. To make brown, I need orange and blue. And I'm going to mix those together. Mix, mix, mix. And sometimes if you add too much blue, you'll get this army green. If that happens to you, that means you need more red. I'm going to clean my brush and pick up some more red. Mix it in, and it should start to get a nice brown. There we go. Nice dark brown. If I want that to be darker, what can I add? I can add black to make it darker. I'm going to clean my brush, pick up a little bit of black, and mix that in to make the brown darker. Wonderful. Now let's paint the arm. So this one fell off. I can glue it back on with glue. So I just want to paint that and leave it to the side. Once it dries up, then I can glue this arm back on. To go along with my Christmas theme, I think I want to paint the scarf red and green, or perhaps blue. I think I want to go with blue. So just straight blue. If I want to make a lighter blue, how can I make a lighter blue? I can take my blue, and how can I make things lighter? I can have white to make my blue lighter. So I could perhaps make a pattern of dark blue, light blue. And I'm going to keep my dark blue there, light blue in the center. So we're working our way from big surfaces to medium surfaces to smaller surfaces. I made my orange earlier. Let's use that for the nose. This brush is quite big for the nose. I can switch over to my clean small detail brush. Here's my little guy. And now to finalize my beautiful sculpture with some black coal eyes. Again, I don't want that to be completely black, so I do want to add a little bit of white to the black to make it a dark gray. Ooh, I like this coal gray. So it's not fully black, it is a coal gray. Carefully get all of my eyes. If you want to give your snow person more realistic eyes, you can. Give it a pupil. Some of you like anime eyes. Give that a try. I'm going to handle my project for a bit so that I can get some of those eyes. And now before the rest of my colors dry, I can come back in, paint anything I've missed. Okay, so now let's make some highlights. Highlights appear where the light reflects on the surface of the object. And you can make those by adding white. So to this very dark gray, I can take a little bit of my white and mix it in to my gray to make a lighter version of that black. And I can add a tiny reflection here with plenty of paint on my brush. The top of the hat. The edge. The top of the eyes. I can add some white with a clean brush. And add that to my brown to make a highlight of brown. And here it goes. And sometimes the highlight is so bright, it can just be a little dot of white. The top of the nose. To the back of it. Some reflections. Some highlights. Some snow. And there is our little snow person. Now that you've learned how to paint with acrylic, try painting your snow person on your own. Once you're done, move on to the ornaments. Happy holidays, everyone. It was a pleasure guiding you through this project.